in Brighton, even though there's a bit of a lull, now it's starting to pick up again?
Just showing. Just like two showings.
Oh, two showings instead of none?
Yeah. Not like running through the door. Exactly.
I didn't check appointments though. Did you get a chance to look at appointments? It's okay. It's all right. It's okay, Nelson. Does anybody have any listings that aren't moving right now? Aaron, what do you got going? Oh, sorry.
I've got a listing in Biddy. It's been up 10 days. I had 22 showings on a couple of days. I had
No offers?
I
So-
had two otherwise.
So that's interesting then. So 22 showings and offer date, no offers, right? So what's your list price on that one? 999. What's your,
1.15.
so 999, your target's 115? That's an interesting lesson. So what did you end up doing then? Your list of 1139? Okay. And how long ago did you do that? When did you do that?
Last week, we have an offer right now, we have accepted, but the way I'm going with this is that, yes, we have 22 showings, but two very low offers. So the amount of agents that I reached out to said, you know, they're just looking for a bargain.
Yeah.
They really don't want to keep the market value.
Mhm.
And they're looking.
Yeah, so for the people at home, I'm just going to repeat what you said there. So it's saying that you've got 26 showings there for 999, and two of the people saying they're looking for a bargain, and I can see that. And so if you price at 999, I think you're almost inviting people that want to pay less than $1 million because they want to put 5% down, right? So that's kind of a tough one, right? So 999, would you price it? No, it's if you price at 999, people think it's going to be worth 899, and they're going to come in, right? But when they see the property and they realize it's 1.1 something, then they don't bother putting the offer in. This is why we tell a lot of people here, if you do have an offer date, don't panic. Let the offer date come and go, and wait over the weekend before you entertain offers, because there's usually somebody that doesn't want to compete, and they'll bring in the offer later on after the fact, right? Aaron, what did you have going on?
Have a multi-unit, attached two-story brick, 9 sitting. Then we have that co-op condo at Kennedy.
Yes. So the one in Brampton, is it Brantford? Brantford, which is around, and Brantford is around Hamilton, right? And you list it for how much? 569, and it's a duplex?
Yeah.
Not a duplex, but a basement apartment? Really?
Some goings, but it's like when we ask for feedback, like we showed 12 houses today, so there's a lot of inventory. Be picky.
So would there be there's at that price range, there's got to be a positive cash flow. It's not legal though, eh? Okay. I'm just curious, at that price range, you think that somebody would want to buy that up, right? Right. And as far as the co-op goes, co-op's tough because you can't get financing for it, right? People don't quite understand the co-op. So on, but we've sold them in the before. It just takes a little bit longer. Yeah. And those are usually big units. So if somebody just wants to downsize, they sell their place, they cash out, they pay this for cash. It's a nice big unit. Yeah. Yeah, so that's fine. Good. Anybody else going on? Who's got buyers? What are the buyers telling you? Buyers telling you they want to wait, or buyers telling they don't qualify? What are the buyers telling you? Because the buyers told us in the last couple of months that they're waiting for the inventory. Now the inventory is over 16,000, so we got inventory. So now what are the buyers telling us? Exhausted?
Something they don't like, and the seller wants a lot of money, or we're in a bidding war. So
We just somebody told me something just now. Is off the. I didn't get full details, but they put an offer on a condominium, conditional upon status, and then the homeowner, they found out that that they had a condominium to sell, so the condominium wouldn't accept their offer. What? That's a bizarre one. You know, it's conditional upon status only. As soon as the owner found out that they had something to sell, they didn't want to take that risk. So they didn't want to sell it to them. I've never heard that one before.
the seller's private capital?
Yeah, the sellers didn't want to entertain their offer, even though it wasn't conditional upon selling the property. It was conditional in status. The seller didn't want it because they had a property to sell.
Yeah, sometimes you have to be careful when you're representing a buyer. Don't say more than you have to, because people will get nervous when they'll take $10,000-15,000 less from somebody who doesn't have something to sell versus 10-15 grand more.
So they must have had a friend who on closing date, somebody couldn't close and there was all hell to go on. So there was some personal story that happened that they don't want it to happen to them, right?
It's a conditional on other.
No, it's just conditional on status. I don't know. As she said, sometimes you get kooky sellers, right? So, but you don't know the story, right? So, yeah. Varan, I've got Varan here. So what, you been on vacation too? No, you've been around? Okay. So what's going on in your world then? Okay, so Varan says he's really busy and what are you busy doing?
100%. Doing two now.
What are you busy doing? For purchasers, okay.
Mine picked up a property and they increased. We have a woman. This is for 135. For 1-2. Good day for seller wants to close. And then the deal came in today. Peter Bro. I think the existing buyer doesn't want to do the deal anymore because they could sell their home.
Okay.
So they're coming out of it and similar to what the company here.
Uh,
Then my buyer went
oh, okay. So your buyer bought it from the buyer or right from the seller?
from the seller.
From the
So we
seller?
had to do a 72 days, 72 hours workable.
Yeah.
Because of the. need-
So it's like an assignment, but they just signed the whole, they probably got out of one deal and did the other deal, right? Okay, good.
And a lot of people I'm seeing like first-time buyers was in a condo, they're buying a house right now.
First time buyers.
First time. Past clients, 3-4 years back, they bought a condo.
Yeah, okay. So the move up buyers, move from condos to. Interesting. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here, but just sort of doing it off the top here. So what's everybody's feelings for okay, the inflation rate? Right now we're at 2.8. I was just reading something downstairs that they're projecting that the inflation rate for the next round, which I think comes out tomorrow. Comes out tomorrow with the inflation rate. They're predicted to be 3%. That's what I'm reading.
Because the carbon tax.
Carbon tax or whatever else, 3.1. So is that 2.8? If it goes to 3.1, which we'll know tomorrow, then on September the 15th, I believe is the next rate increase. What do you guys think? If inflation rate goes to 3.1, what do you think about the next round for inflation rate or for interest rates? Do you think it'll go up? Yeah. Right. So everybody's shaking their heads thinking, I don't know, but the government seems to be blinded by what they want to do. They want to get that inflation down. But yeah, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. So keep an eye on that.
Oil prices gone up.
Oil prices, price of oil. How much is gas now? That's for the cheapest. For the cheapest gas is 170. During the pandemic, didn't it hit $2?
That's what it's at the end of the year.
So it's 15% cheaper than it was. Oh, well, that's okay. School's gonna come up soon and vacation's gonna be over soon. And the buyers are gonna start coming out very soon. The sellers are as well, and I'll explain what I'm thinking there. But as far as we're concerned, our jobs, we can't be concerned about prices, we gotta be concerned about volume. We want volume. And you have to pay attention to your clients and don't get caught up with the newspapers or maybe even other agents saying how market's so. I mean, the market is positive. Because you're buying and selling the same marketplace, right? It makes no difference. You're buying and selling the same market. So everything's going up, everything's going down. Doesn't really make any difference. But we mentioned some time ago how during the 2022, when things are going crazy, we mentioned that people buying at that time were buying their secondary properties. There was 25% of all purchases were being bought by people buying the second properties. Remember that? So now those people, hopefully your clients, have bought these second properties. And if they bought it in 2022, let's say the peak or even after a little bit, they would have taken at that time Varan a 3-year mortgage, 2-year mortgage. Would be like in 2022 during the boom. What kind of mortgages would people take? 5-year. Okay. So 2022. So we're still got 2027. So we're still a little bit off that. So I guess the people that bought before 2022, that means they paid less money that means their mortgages will be starting to come due now, but they didn't pay the high price in 2022. They paid a normal price. So these people should be able to sell for a positive cash. You follow me there? So you got to go to your database and your past clients and find out who bought during that time and what's their situation. And maybe they want us to think about selling the place. And that's where it wants to come from. And why I say that, on October the 13th, yesterday, we had 16,166 active listings. Break that down, there's 7,000 were condominium and 9,000 were freeholds. If I look at, if I take out the properties that are $400,000 or less, just because I want to eliminate parking spaces. Like there's a lot of vacant, there's a lot of parking spaces that are for sale, a lot of vacant land, stuff like that. So I took out the price and started at 400,000. So we've got 15,000, almost 16,000 active listings that are over $400,000. Of those, again, 6,800 are condo, 9,000 are freehold. Of the condominium, 6,800, 1,700 of those units are tenanted and 2,600 of those units are vacant. So it's a total of 4,350. So it represents 4,350 of the 6,800 represents 63% of all condominium listings right now are either tenanted or vacant. So that tells me that they're starting to sell out. They're starting to cash out your investors. So you must have investors yourself, past clients in the same situation. So go through your database, find out who bought the secondary properties. Is it, do they like being a landlord? Is it being a landlord as they thought it would be? And maybe it's time to sell, especially the guys that maybe the mortgages due now, they would have bought 5 years ago. They did not buy in the peak. So there's still equity left in the property. And they might want to think about doing something. So that's something to put on your things to do for September once the summer is over. But I would seriously consider that. Right? Sales, by the way, for the first 13 days doesn't really mean anything. It's only 13 days, but it's actually down 7% from last year. Freeholds are down 14%, but condominiums are up 9%. Home market's okay compared to last year. And last year, of course, prices were down like 50% from the year before. So we're still talking about, low numbers here, but it's nothing big. Leases are down 8%, condo leases are down 2%, and freehold leases down 17%. So that's okay. Just going to go random as we go here. We've got your professional liability insurance is due on August the 18th. We got an email. I guess, Jenny, you're going to take care of that email with those TrevNet addresses. So a bunch of people did not change their TrevNet address with Rico. And if you recall, Rico email doesn't work anymore. So you may change other things that if you're here, you wouldn't know that I'm talking to you because you wouldn't have got it anyways. But a lot of people set up their Rico email addresses at TrevNet. And of course, Rico send you emails to that TrevNet address, and that TrevNet address does not work. So if you're not getting emails from anybody, just make sure they're not using your old TrevNet address. Don't you worry about it here. We will email you individually, those people that have a TrevNet address with Rico. But
sorry, well, $500, right?
So it's a $500 outstanding payment. It's due on August the 18th. If for some reason you miss it, you skip it, then I think it's a $35 surcharge fee, but you cannot trade in real estate after the 18th. Because now you're trading real estate without insurance, and that's bad. Okay. Sky Slope DigiSign, is everybody comfortable with that? Some people switched over to transaction desk because they didn't want to learn DigiSign, but most people that switched to DigiSign will notice that it's almost exactly the same, just a different color. Right? So it wasn't that hard to do. And then somebody told me this morning, I found out that if you did your transaction desk and you set up a transaction report, transaction reports will still be on your transaction web forms when you go in there. But if you just set it up as a document and didn't add it to a transaction report, then I don't think you have it anymore. Like the document itself. So you can come to me later on if it's something that's going to hurt you or not. The real estate boards. So we've got emails. Who do I have here? I gave the list to Ginny already, who would have contacted the agents sometime this week. So all the boards around TREB are signed on to Stratus. Trying to put it in a different way. So a whole bunch of us during the 2022, during the peak when everybody's buying everywhere else except for Toronto, they're all buying out the outskirts. A lot of people joined the Barrie board. A lot of people joined the Peterborough board or the Quinte board to have access to what's called ITSO, the ITSO. And when you have access to that database, you get access to pretty much all the boards in Ontario. Because all the boards outside TREB use this ITSO database instead. So we all joined the Barrie board and the Durham board to be able to access to listings in where St. Catharines and London and Waterloo and all these different places. So now these boards, at least the ones around here in the East End, are starting to get rid of their ITSO and they're starting to join TREB. So they're calling it amalgamations. They're talking about we're joining the Barrie Durham board shut down. They're now part of TREB. So any listings that you have on Toronto MLS will show up in Simcoe in the Barrie board. Any listings that the Barrie board gets will show up on your database under Simcoe. There's no ITSO for Barrie anymore. Peterborough last week, they voted in acceptance, as well as Kawartha and as well as Northumberland and Durham. They've decided they're going to get together and they're going to use the Stratus database as well. It's actually Realm database, but they're going to use that database, so that'll disappear. So if you're currently a member of the Peterborough board or you're currently a member of the Barrie board, you don't have to be, because now TREB has the same information. Unless you want access to those other boards through ITSO, then you still need to have your Barrie membership. There's one.
We got like Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Going on there.
So on and so forth, right? London has their own. Is London part of ITSO? Yes, it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this was part of it. Your realm is due on next year, January. So Stratus will turn off in this year. So you need to be taking this time. If you're not as busy as you want to be, you take your time and practice Realm. I go to Realm every day now. When I'm doing it, I try to stay away from Stratus as much as I can. The biggest obstacle that you're going to have as agents is setting up your prospect searches. So don't wait till January. You might want to consider doing it sooner than later. And somebody recalled, you guys recall, Ginny or anybody else, when you set up a client on Realm, you're going to actually go to the Realm. You set up your search that you're looking for that particular client, and then you save that search under that client's name. And then the clients, you'll send an email to the client will accept the castle, and then away you go. So it's a little bit different, but it still works okay. It still works like collaborate. But again, don't wait till February to do that. You want to do it sooner than later. Oh man, do we want to get involved in this? Yeah. Trust in real estate? Might as well start, right? Just so everybody knows. Okay, so the government came in and they decided that effective on December 1st, I believe it is, that the new Trust in Real Estate Act will be coming into effect. And it's actually stage 2 that will come into effect in December. We've already got phase 1. Phase 1's already come into effect. Phase 2 will come and phase 3 will be later on. Phase 1 allowed you to create precs, right? Phase 1 did a couple other things like the professional real estate corporations. That what phase 1 allowed you to do. Phase 2 is going to be a little more intense. They're talking about contracts and they're talking about representations and code of ethics and all these types of things. So we'll be changing December 1st, but I'm just going to go through a couple of things just to remind you. You don't have to write it down, just think about it and just be aware of it, that's all. So they're going to have what's called designated representation. In addition to announcing implementation dates for phase 2, the ministry has also filed regulations to permit designated representation agreements in Ontario. So no longer under the Trust in Real Estate Act can we have customers. Remember, you had a client, you had a customer. Customer, you had to give customer service, and a client was your client, and customer service, you can give them limited information, but it was so confusing. I don't think anybody here can tell me the difference between a customer agreement and a client agreement. Because we all treat everybody fairly anyway, so it doesn't make any difference, right? But somehow the government wants to have it in writing. So there's no longer gonna be clients. It's either gonna be, no longer gonna be customers. You're either gonna have a BRA or a listing agreement, or you're not. And if you don't have it, it's gonna be what's called self-represented people. So it's gonna be very clear. The guy says to you, I want to buy from the listing agent. I'm not signing agreements with you. Let me get those. So that guy, you're gonna have to give him a piece of paper which he has to sign that says that I'm self-represented. I'm not being represented by anybody. He's gonna sign this piece of paper and then away he goes. And then the service that you can give that person is gonna be quite a bit different. And again, I'll get into more details later on, but if it's a self-represented person, you are not allowed by law to give them any service. By law, you're not allowed. So this guy comes to you and says, I want this, 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 and unless he signs a BRA, it's against the law to give him service. It's not an ethical thing. It's not a could be or should be or can't. It's against the law to give them service. Against the law means fines. Okay. Yeah, so that's the self-represented side. But as long as he signs that piece of paper, he can go ahead and he can still put an offer on that property, and you can still give the guy service if it's your listing. So now if it's your listing, you can give that guy service and give him some ideas, some action there, because you're giving service to your client, not him. You follow me there? Including the showings, because you're showing that you're going to show that person, they're going to show that unrepresented person the property for the benefit of your client. But where it gets tricky, and it says very clear here, but if that guy doesn't like that property and wants to see the property next door, you can't show the property next door because he's not represented.
Because you don't represent.
He's not represented.
Consider people.
No. So this is the warning part, but I know there's paperwork to be signed. As long as you sign this piece of paper, you sign this acknowledgement that I'm not representing you, you're representing yourself, then we'll be able to move forward. I'm going to put it in such a way that's not going to affect your business. It's just all just garbage. I mean, you read all this garbage here. This is going to be on January 1st. They're not, and here they go here. I know the answer already. Talking about multiple representation. So multiple representation, you can either do, you can still do multiple representation, status quo, or you can represent somebody as a designated representation. So if we can have multiple representation, I can't see why anybody's going to go with the designated representation. So I need some clarity there. But on the designated representation, what the government's suggesting is if you have a listing and a buyer comes to you and says, I want to put an offer on your place, and you don't want to do the multiple representation, you want to sort of have his own representation, you have the representation, then the listing agent can assign, the brokerage, even though you have the listing, the brokerage can assign another person to represent the buyer in a designated representation situation. How that buyer shares the commission or gets paid, I haven't figured that part out yet, but that's going to be the workaround. It all sounds so confusing. It is confusing, so I'll boil it down so it doesn't make any sense, but I want you to just be aware of some of the things that are happening.
Can you sign up with the BRA just for that?
Yes. Yeah, you do BRAs for that property. Yeah. Yeah. And that'll overcome, that'll be down. Now you're back to multiple representation, right?
Still, you could give the service or no service?
BRA gives service.
How would you put it? Yes.
That's, I know, I'll figure that out later, so. Like, I don't know, I mean, it's kind of good in one way. So you're a listing agent and a guy comes to you and says, I only deal with listing agents. I want to put an offer through you. You can tell him I can't help you, my friend. You got to go to my designated agent. All right. And basically it's all to do with money, isn't it? So, all right. We're going to be going into the code of ethics, a different thing. The government's going to have more power to make decisions without having to go through all the hoops to make decisions. It's for obvious things. Offer process, we will be going to the open offer process in December. And that'll be fun, and I'm waiting for Skyslope to give us information. By the way, I'm expecting information from TREB, I'm expecting information from RIA, and I'm expecting information from TREB on how to get all this paperwork together and get it all done. for instance, one of the new listings we have, they're gonna require us on a listing be fully disclosed. So right now, you have a listing and you have 6% commission and co-op commission is 3%. Right? That's what you do right now. In the future, it's going to say, what happens if you have your own buyer? What's the commission? This is going to be on the listing agreement. So the questions are going to be, okay, what's the total commission? What's the commission to the co-op agent? What's the commission if you sell it yourself? What's the commission if somebody from your office sells it? So you got to go through all these little checks marks on there. So there's no guessing. So I'm waiting for the forms from ARIA to fulfill that requirement.
We're gonna tie our shirts.
Multiple offers again. We're waiting for Sky Slope because I believe that and this is actually pretty good. I don't mind this. I don't mind this one on Sky Slope. When you go to as a buying agent to register an offer, right now you phone the listing broker. You send the offer to the listing broker directly. In the new format, you'll be uploading your offer to a platform, and everybody will have access to that information. It depends on how much they want to give out, how much information they want to give. So it'll be a different process when that comes down. Still gonna be the old process as well. It's only for people who want to do multiple offers, right? So those are details we'll get into.
So by owner's consent, right?
Well, yeah, see, it's weird. So the owner has to tell us on an offer situation, which offers, what can be disclosed, what can't be disclosed. So the seller can tell us, I want you to disclose the closing date, but I don't want you to disclose the price. Or I want you to disclose the price and not the conditions, or whatever they want to do. They'll tell us what you want. And what stuff I'm reading here is pretty bold, and it's pretty new too. They're saying if you have a buyer in a multiple offer situation and the seller says, I want to disclose all the how many buyers there are and what their offers are and the deposits. And the buyer tells you, is because he's your client, buyer says, I don't want my offer disclosed to anybody. All right. So Treb's answer to that question, no, sorry, Rico's answer to that question is tell the buyer to buy another house.
Buy another one.
Yeah. So if the seller's saying, I'm disclosing all offers, and the buyer says, I don't want my offer disclosed, then go buy another property. Right? So these are the rules. You don't want to play by the rules, no problem. Go find another house. So I thought that was curious. Too much. So we'll get more details as we go along there. Don't be all freaked out. It's just a piece of paper. It's just another piece of paper signed or a different piece of paper signed. At the end, it really doesn't make any difference. Hopefully in the fall, we're going to come up with a lot of training guys coming around. We expect starting to come now. We got Rich Robbins. And did he have his? He's in November, so it's a little far off still. But there's a lot of professional trainers will be coming to town soon. They always come in the fall. Take advantage of those. Don't be an island on your own. Just don't be listen to other people. Hear what other people have to say. Different concepts, different things. When those things come around, try to take advantage of that. I wasn't familiar with this. What's this card? Is that something we can talk about?
Oh, I don't know. I signed up for it. It's another exclusive pre-con database. I think they're trying to compile all the pre-cons into one central database. It might be like Broker Pocket. I don't know how long it's gonna last. Or future condos,
Might be like what's the other one?
like Broker Pocket.
Broker Pockets didn't survive.
No, they're not good.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
I think so.
Has anybody got involved in that yet with the pre-construction? Anybody have any people who want to get rid of their assignments or want to sign their pre-construction? Have you got that yet?
I think they're trying to make it like you can get leads from it also. So there's some sort of lead program where buyers will go and sign up for pre-con, and if you're an agent with the database, they'll give you the leads for it. But I signed up for it. Okay.
So I got an email from one of the finance and saying a whole bunch of suddenly.
Fund of the finance.
I don't.
So on those assignments websites, just make sure who's running it, okay? Because a lot of agents are pretending to be a database of assignments. What they're trying to do is they're trying to grab clients. So it's not like Treb where you put it on Treb and you get the calls and so forth. These guys here do it themselves to generate it, right? So just make sure you got the right one. And the Ontario Wellness Program. I mean, people are still doing what do they call it? Petitions. But I don't think Treb's listening. If you read the stuff they're writing us, they're going forward. We have no opinion. So they're just gonna do what they want to do anyways, but it's there. But if you're into it and you want to increase it, you can add dental to it, you can add your spouses to it, maybe your kids, you can add to it if you want to embrace it. And it's gonna come anyways, right? So
For 500.
well, no, like right now it doesn't have a dental. So if you say, well, okay, I want a dental package, they've got a quote in there to say, okay, for an extra, $500 a month or whatever it is, then you can get dental. Some of you have a spouse, right? So maybe I want to add my spouse or something. As employees, we can add staff, right? So we do stuff like that. I assume if you're a prac or something, you have staff, you maybe you'll have add staff to that as well. So there are some sort of advantages to it. Going back to Realm, some people were concerned about their contact lists. Can they get their contact list from Stratus into Realm? Is that the question? So you can do it quite easily, right? So you take your contacts in Stratus, so you can export your contacts in Stratus into a CSV file. Then you upload it back into your Realm files. Now you got your contacts there. That's simple. What's not simple is the prospect searches. If you've got 150, I think it's the max. If you have 150 prospect searches, I think you have to do those manually to input those into Realm, as far as I can see.
That's because you have to add the client first and have to accept the invite before you can set up.
Correct. All right. So what Kari's saying here is that because of the castle rules, Toronto Real Estate Board Stratus does not conform, or the Stratus or castle rules. Realm does. So that's why you can't just automatically throw your prospect searches into Realm. You have to do the counseling. When you set it up, the computer will send them a message and tell them to set up an account. But you want to have a conversation with them before you do that, because they're just gonna delete it. So that'd be some reason why you want to talk to your clients, some reason to follow up with them, saying, hey, how's it going? The fall market's doing this, and we're getting ready for the blah, blah, blah. And oh, by the way, we have this other program. Can I put you on this list? I'm going to send you an email. That would be some type of script, I would think, right? Yeah, that's fine. So do that, send it to yourself. You can do the other stuff as well. Trying to figure out here on the MLS listings on Toronto side, we've got mandatory fields. You've got the room dimensions where one room has to be mandatory. You also have the PIN number, which is mandatory. Everybody knows how to get the PIN number. And the square footage, which I've been waiting for. They're supposed to give us some type of access to some type of program for square footage, and then they're going to make the square footage mandatory. So right now it's not mandatory, but it will be in the future. Those guys that have home lines of credit. Glad Brand's here. So if you have a home equity line of credit, what do you call it? Hilcos? HELOC. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but if you have a home equity line of credit, rather than getting a mortgage, you can maybe get in the past, you get 80% value of your property on a home equity loan. So it's sitting there, you can either use it or don't use it. If you use it, then you start paying interest on it. You don't use it, then it sits there. A lot of people use that instead of a mortgage, or is that just as a safety net, like a line of credit? Okay, so what they're going to change the rules in that. Some people, what's the other one do? A lot of people just have line of credit. So is line of credit the same as a home equity line of credit?
It's a secure line of credit, but it's a different name from the different lenders, like a Scotiabank called STEP, called HELOC.
Attached to the house as opposed to a line of credit, which is just like a separate.
But some people will get a line of credit rather than a mortgage. They'll get a line of credit for, let's say, 80%. That's a line of credit. And if got to make, I guess, minimum payments on that, has some type of interest or something on it there. And then you have the home equity line of credit, which I want to say it's the same thing.
Home equity, it's a secure line of credit.
It's the second line of credit, same thing.
Secure line of credit.
Secured with the house,
Except it's secure, but a line of credit would be secured as well, right?
not tied to the house.
Not tied to the house. Okay, so it's on title.
just would be.
Anyway, so they're changing that from 80% to 65%. So if you have clients that have HELOCs that are over 65%, that will change in September to a maximum of 65%. So they're questioning that down now.
Okay, even right now, you can only borrow up to 65% of the property value.
Okay.
But mortgage and the line of credit both combined, you can borrow up to 80%. So I already got a letter from Berkshire Bank on my line of credit. Yeah, most of the payments are going to go towards the line of credit, so the mortgage to bring it below 80%, bring below 60%. Starting over first.
So if you have clients that are using the line of credits or the home equity line of credits, then they need to talk to somebody.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Talk to Varane.
Would interest be the same in HELOC and the one?
Interest would be similar. Be similar. Anybody paying attention to what's going on with Facebook and Meta and all those guys there in the Canadian government?
No news.
It's funny, eh? Pardon me?
Say it, I'll tell you. Now when you open up any news channel on Instagram, it says no news in Canada. Like.
So the Canadian government came in and they told these guys, look, you're using Canadian publishers' information to make your web page popular. So we want you to pay the Toronto Star for original information. Want you to pay these other guys for original content if you're going to put it in. That's the whole deal. And then what they're saying, these guys are saying it's the other way around. We are driving traffic to the publishers, not the other way around. So that's why we're not going to play. So they've decided that in Canada, they're not going to make any news feeds available on Facebook or Meta, which is Instagram, to Canadians from any source anywhere in the world. Not just Canada. So they're not just banning Canadian publishers from being found on these sites. They're banning all other countries as well for Canadians. So it's really creepy. I don't like the idea of these private companies telling the government what to do, how to do, when to do. So if you ever have an opportunity to.
Or like Toronto doesn't like their news in Toronto on their Instagram, and you'll see like people in Canada.
It's kind of, Mr. Trudeau. I don't know. So I'm thinking I'm going the other way. It depends how you go, right? I'm thinking that why are these private companies telling the Canadian government what to do? I think it's bad myself. I don't know.
I used to look at my news.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but so that means you guys are going to be a source for Canadian real estate. So right, because they're saying that you can't retweet, you can't do anything else. So in the past you never did it, but if you see an article from the Star, an article from some other place that looks pretty good, fire it off to your clients because they're not going to get it anymore. They're not going to get Canadian real estate news from any Canadian source, or actually any source.
Twitter doesn't do that. Twitter is stopped already. If you don't pay Twitter, you cannot have any news over there, or you cannot do anything.
I don't know. I thought Twitter went out of business. Aren't they called something else now? They call it X. They call it X.
It also has other trademarks though.
So as I was doing my little thing there, looking for properties that are vacant and tenants, I tried to think, I didn't want to sort of skew the information. So I came across this guy's here listing. This is a realm listing. So if you do realm listings, this is what they look like. This guy here is selling parking spot down at Village Green. I don't know how they can do this. He's actually selling 6 parking spots for $169,000 for all 6. It's got, so if you bought all 6 and the rent that you get on these parking spots works out to about 4.5% cap rate or 4.5% return. If you take that same $169,000 and stick it in the bank, you can get 5.5%.
What's the maintenance fees on
These fees are $1,200 a month. So when you take out the maintenance fees and else, it still has about a 4.5% cap rate, but it's kind of cute. But when you go on this round, so what I want to show you here. It shows you the history, and you go to the full report, it shows the history of the property. And this guy here has been trying to sell these parking spots since 2017.
Whoa.
You see that? So it just tells me that this fellow here has put these listings on MLS just so we can get sign calls. What else, what other reason would there be? To get sign calls, to get night calls, sign calls, he's just, you know.
You kind of convert a parking lot lead to like another parking spot or what?
I'm not gonna ask.
Do you want to buy a condo? With a parking spot?
When is Village Green? Was it 2013? Is that too?
Yeah.
So you've been trying to sell them since 2013, 10 years. The real estate market starting to balance out. That's fine. Another more construction townhouse complex under construction in whereabouts, Milton area. No, let's see, Appleby. Anyways, burnt down. Surprise. It's a bit of an inside joke there, right? But these guys here complained to the builder saying that we bought these places here and now you're selling phase 2 cheaper than what we paid phase 1. And builders saying, well, it costs this and costs that. And all of a sudden they start burning down. Buyer doesn't care, right? And we're also into the student season. If you got rental housing, you got a client that does want to rent out their place, you got this, it's time for the students to come in, right? They're coming back to Toronto now. So it's student season for condominium rentals. So if you got a client wants to rent out their place, do it sooner than later. And it says here, Toronto's real estate investors are selling off their condos as mortgage payments soar. So real estate investors are exiting the market as new listings in Toronto real estate for a trend up. New listings for July increased by 11.5% annually for condominiums. They're saying here that a whopping 36% of condominiums in Toronto are owned by investors. 36%. And what I came up there, 36% are owned by investors, but 63% are in the market today for sale. So when I'm telling you here, go to your past clients, investors, who these people are, even, you know, go to them because they're moving it, they're moving properties. You guys look at the Central Island door knocking survey. The Central Island one's given away. If you go to you would have got your email likely from Central Island, or you will get one soon there. They have this this format here where they're giving agents access to it's a survey monkey survey, which is just an online survey. And they want you to go to clients, I guess, knock on the door saying, I'm doing a survey. You mind asking a bunch of questions? Would people do that? No. So you knock on the door, people aren't going to do surveys? Door knocking survey?
All the revolve. And they're comparing condos, like Toronto condos to detached in other provinces. They're not really a true measure of the most expensive cities, is it?
Yeah.
That's what they're trying.
Well, some of the questions are okay. You could actually look at yourself and just keep it in your phone call. You want to keep the conversation going with somebody, you're not sure what to talk about. Survey says, what's your age? Okay, that's prefer not to answer, as some people say. When did you move into the neighborhood? Okay, fine. What type of home is this? Okay, and that's for other reasons. What do you think the value of your house is? What do you see yourself moving for in the next? Do you see yourself moving in the next 5 years? Likely, you know, very likely, not likely, never, unlikely, whatever else. If you're considering moving the next year, what would be your top priority? More space, proximity to work, proximity to school. Like, why are you moving? If you're planning to move, where would you be looking for the new home? So it'd be the current neighborhood, you know, out of town, back home, whatever else. I've noticed you guys noticed a lot of clients moving back home like to Greece or back to Newfoundland or, hey? I've seen more and more of that where people are cashing out and they're moving back to their back home, right? And they go into a bunch of other questions there too. How would you use this information? So the board itself, the prices for July, do you remember the prices for July were up, right? They're up, was it? I'm going from memory. Were they up? How much prices July from this year versus July last year? 4.2 and volume was up 7% or something, right? So they're saying the prices have gone up. This person here, this is from Blog TO. Anybody do Blog TO? Bunch of, I don't know. I don't like Blog TO. You get the other negative side of things I see from Blog TO more than anything else. So here they go on here. So even though prices have gone up, they've gone in and said that us developers and realtors were the bad guys because we're lying, right? Even if realtors and developers want to believe that Toronto's real estate market is holding strong in the face of record inflation and sky high interest rates, the steep downturn in sales volume and now declining prices tell a different story. And they're correct, because if you go into the average price has actually gone up, whatever it's gone up there. But if you consider the median price, which is median price is the price between the lowest average and the highest average, the median price, it's not affected by the average. So if a bunch of $5-10 million places sell, it's going to affect the average price, right? So you have median price, and the median price, they're saying here that the prices in Toronto have dropped by $100,000 on the median price.
No, the condominium. On social media, they can't see it now anyways.
Yeah, that's right too. So Blog TO's been blocked too, maybe.
I just checked it right now, it's blocked.
So Blog TO is blocked.
Blocked.
Isn't that a serious thing, man? Holy crap. So now you are the gatekeepers of information. Scotty Barnes is going to put his name on a condo project up in Richmond Hill. Montreal sales are keeping pace with last year. You know, we're up about 7%. Montreal's keeping pace. And I don't know why would anybody want to live in Toronto? Okay. Like if you got this one, well, you got 500,000 people coming to Canada, right? So we want to move to Toronto. The average price, guess, in Montreal.
Not necessarily.
The average price of a single family residential home, not condo, the average price of a single family home in Montreal is $555,000. Montreal. And the condominiums. $395. Why is everybody living? Why are we living here? This is Montreal. You don't have to speak French in Montreal. Yeah. No, you go to the, was it St. Clair?
The way will ask me. I want to.
Vancouver prices have gone up 30%. So everybody's being negative on the Toronto market and what's going on with interest rates and that, but how come Vancouver's gone up 30%? So in Vancouver and Toronto almost go together, right? So if they're going up 30%, then I think that's good news for Toronto. I think it's very good news. But even then, sales in Vancouver are 2,400. New construction, they're all crying because the sales are down. Does anybody notice how the new construction, the developers are getting very aggressive with youth? One of our guys won a trip to Bahamas last week, right? Another guy's getting helicopter rides, and some guy, they brought up a bunch of people on a chair and put them out of the sky and had lunch. So they're spending all this money here trying to get you to sell their units because the sales themselves have gone down for new stuff. Somebody did a trade show, right? Now this Wednesday. So Wednesday we have you doing anything in your stuff? Not till next week. Yeah, okay. So you got Realm coming up look at all that stuff, make sure that you're okay with that. DigiSign, I think is behind us. Tressa will do that over time. But finally here, so on Wednesday, we have a audience with Center Court. Center Court is developing Pickering development. Eh, is that a call? What's it called?
Pickering City Center. Like the overall area, master plan community name.
Center Court Developments Pickering City Center, 6,000 condos on 1.5 acre park. They're gonna build 10 condominiums on that parking lot at the Pickering Town Center. They've already torn down Sears. And they're gonna build all these condos on that same site. Actually, where the Sears was, that's gonna be the park, and the condominium is gonna be in the parking lot. I'm thinking this is a good investment, I think, for if you guys want to go to that. Why I think it's a good investment is it's in Pickering, which is fine. Pickering's a little different than most places. Doesn't seem to be that busy. It's not, it's sort of small town still. But it's gonna be attached to the mall. So if you're living in this mall, let's say you're a retiree, you could buy these, I'm thinking like a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom retiree buys in this place. You can walk down the elevator, you can go to the mall. There's grocery stores there. There's there's
Burger Bees and Farmville.
there's a Shoppers Drug Mart there. There's all types of movie theaters, all kinds of stuff. Then you walk, take that bridge across the 401 and get the GO train. So you can actually live there and not go outside.
Further to the water.
I think it's a better
It's about 1,050 per square foot.
1,000 feet. I think it's better than Universal. I think it's better than all the other stuff.
Well, you have the most affordable condo in the city.
I think it's much better than Agent Court.
Yeah, Agent Court Mall, yeah, because it's GO trains right there. So anyway, so that's gonna be a Wednesday. There's a presentation, I think,
Wednesday,
11:30. I think we sent out stuff on that, so you'll have a look at that. $1,000 a square foot's okay too. So I think it's gonna be 10 years from now, but still.
the client will ask you about it, so it's good to just have the information so that you know that they know that you know what's happening.
We haven't started anything yet.
No.
No, but tomorrow or Wednesday, they'll tell you what the bigger plans are. Obviously, 10 years, it's gonna take, it's gonna take 10, 15 years or 20 years to make this happen, right? They're not gonna build 10 all at once.
17 months. Everyone here.
Needs where one.
So anybody want to talk about any properties? Properties, buyers? No. No. Anybody home? Okay, folks, we'll see you later.